We're speaking to Dan Cook from HESA about the New Delhi survey. Dan, how did the feedback from AGCAS influence the upcoming New Delhi proposal?
It was incredibly influential. The first thing to say is that the AGCAS consolidated response, which took in views from across the sector, was very balanced, very powerful account of the things that matter to institutions and to career services about the Delhi. But what was also really interesting was the extent to which little parts of what had been said in the AGCAS response popped up here, there and everywhere. Some similar phrases, not plagiarism. I wouldn't want to give you that thought for a moment, but it was clearly a really influential document in driving debate inside institutions and understanding, what are the opportunities and potential pitfalls of a major change such as New Delhi. So the AGCAS input was absolutely vital. We couldn't have done without it, and I think it's a much stronger set of emerging proposals as a result of AGCAS's input.
Can you go through the headlines from the emerging proposal? What are the key differences between New Delhi and existing Delhi?
Okay, so at the moment that we're filming this, we're still preparing the consultation to come out. So what I'm talking about is a model that we're still developing. We're going to do some more informal consultation on, and then we're going to put that out in a short while. But some of the things are really clear. So we know it's going to be a universal survey of all graduates, and we know that it's going to be later than the current 6-month survey. We're anticipating it's going to be 12 months or just over 12 months, something around the 14-month territory looks likely, but we're still investigating that. Some of the crucial differences about the questions that are going to be asked. So we were asked for an alternative measure of graduate outcomes, and distilling everything that we've heard through this process. That was one of the most exciting intellectual areas that we got to develop. We've come to a point where we think there are 3 new questions that can be asked as part of that alternative measure. The first is a question about whether what the individual respondent is doing at the moment is preparing them and keep making them on track for the work for what they expect to do in the future. Secondly, there's a question around whether they believe that what they're doing at the moment, the work that they're doing perhaps, is meaningful or important to them. And thirdly, there's a question about whether the things that the graduates learned at university, they're now using that in what they're doing, whether that's work or another thing. If it sounds slightly hazy, it's also because we're not just going to ask those questions about people in work, but we're going to have versions of those questions that are directly comparable that we can ask for people in other circumstances. So this will improve the quality of data that we've got around those who are doing non-economic work of various kinds, and will add to the richness of the overall database. It's pretty clear that salary is not the only thing of interest either to graduates or institutions. We want to reflect those broader purposes and broader interests in work in the Delhi in future. Other things that are changing, salary questions will go. We will now be fulfilling those through a linked data process, and we're just developing what exactly that will be, but we'll be utilising national data for students in the UK. It won't be possible for students who are working overseas, so we're anticipating that as well as a smaller core of questions in the Delhi, that there will be optional banks of questions for various situations, so research students, international students, and potentially other areas as well. We're also looking at a subjective wellbeing question set, net promoter question set for those institutions that want to opt into that kind of thing. So core and options, and it's a much different survey in the future as well in terms of the way the questions are asked. We're intending that it will be native to web and and telephone. So rather than being based in a paper form and those alternative methods being a sort of extension out from that, we're going to start as though technology existed and make it a much more modern survey that's routed more effectively and that we can ask simpler questions in order to get better comparable responses from a wider range of individuals.